Coming up tonight on YCN News, one of two missing teenage girls from Vermont has been located in Boston. Market basket corporate leaders fire their own salvo. And the last hurdle to turning on the lights at Bellows Falls Union High School has been crossed. For more news, weather, and sports, it's time for YCN, your local view.
Now, your daily digest of the Dartmouth Lake Sunapee region, southern Vermont, and Windsor County. News, sports, weather, and all that is happening in our area. The news on YCN, your local view.
Good evening and welcome to this Friday edition of YCN News. I'm Rose Spillman. We have an update to a story we reported yesterday. One of two missing teenage girls has been located in Boston. Boston police located 14-year-old Bernadette Doyle around 9 p.m. yesterday, Vermont State Police report. 16-year-old Rachel Miltenberg, who was with Doyle, was reported missing from a Granville, Vermont camp Wednesday, was seen in Boston too. Miltenberg, however, was able to leave the area before Boston police could take her into custody. The search for Miltenberg's whereabouts continues. When is someone's cutback in hours different from a temporary layoff? When it's a story about Market Basket. Market Basket corporate leaders fired their own salvo yesterday afternoon, moments after phone calls started pouring into the offices of the New Hampshire and Massachusetts Attorney Generals from store associates. Store managers have been told by new company CEOs to trim part-time workers' hours due to the drop-off in sales and customer demand. Some or all of part-time store associates' hours may be cut. Workers' calls about job layoffs came into the Attorney General's offices. Meanwhile, Market Basket CEOs say the cut in hours are not layoffs. The situation remains tense at the store level at the chain's 71 stores. In New Hampshire, 9,500 people are employed by Market Basket. Governor Maggie Hassan says she is hopeful Market Basket executives can resolve its problems soon. It's going to get a lot brighter on an athletic field in Westminster, Vermont. The last hurdle to turning on the lights at Bellows Falls Union High School's Hadley Field has been crossed. Even so, the lights won't be back in full force for at least a couple of months. The Brattleboro Reformer reports the Westminster Development Review Board issued the high school the final zoning permit it needs to flip the on switch. Here is one condition that the board attached to its permission for the field lights to be turned on again. DRB members must visit the field 15 days before the first athletic event to ensure the illumination meets agreed-upon measurements. And there is still a 30-day appeals period that must pass before the lights can be turned on. Neighbors to the field earlier told town officials the brightness and glare of the lights may be a lot to overcome. The lights are a gift to the school. And a historical gift, too, because Hadley Field has never been lit at night because no lights have ever stood there. It's been a year and a half, the Reformer reports, that fans of nighttime football games at the high school have waited. School principal Chris Hodson tells the Reformer there are only 4 home field football games this season. So if the lights aren't ready for nighttime football, perhaps the baseball season will prove better and brighter for the athletes. After much discussion and a public hearing, Lac Street in Lebanon will remain a two-way street. A proposal to turn the street into a one-way thoroughfare was on the minds of many of its residents as a good thing to do, the Valley News reports. Road work to repair flood damage from late June and early July 2013 is needed on the street. And because Lac Street runs off Spring Street and Mechanic Street, it's a shortcut between routes 120 and 4. Speed bumps grace Lac Street to deter motorists from buzzing through that area. How best to repair the road to keep it from flooding and to fix last summer's rain damage remains a topic for the Lebanon City Council. New Hampshire Governor Maggie Hassan is asking all state agencies to go lean when they submit budgets for the fiscal year 2016 to 17 state budget. And Hassan is asking for suggestions on how each agency can run a tight financial ship while improving how each agency functions. Hassan asked agency leaders to do this yesterday as part of the lead-up to setting the state's next two-year budget cycle. Also under consideration will be the cost-effectiveness of contracted services. The bottom line from Hassan's directive is that she wants the state to run as best as it can and offer residents services without extra tax burdens. The proposals are due back to the governor by December 1st. When YCN News returns, we'll continue with more news.
The YCN News continues in a moment.
Welcome back to YCN News. I'm Rose Spillman. Cormac McCarthy, the folk singer, not the author, will give a free concert tomorrow night at the Claremont Opera House. McCarthy is a 1970 graduate of Stevens High School in the city. Tickets are limited as this will be an on-stage concert. The program begins at 7 p.m. His concert will be part of the city's 250th anniversary celebration. Coordinating the Making Connections program, which began in January, is Fisk Free Circulation Librarian Colin Sanborn. The program's focus is to recall the city's past and connect it with the present. To check with the Opera House box office regarding seating availability, call 603-542-4433. The Internal Revenue Service is repeating its warning of a telephone scam that continues to entrap people into giving out private information. Per an IRS statement, consumers across the country are asked to guard against divulging information about their legal status in the nation. The IRS says U.S. residents plus recent immigrants are being targeted. The threats center on people allegedly owing money to the IRS. The threats include people being told by the caller that they will be deported, or their utilities shut off, or their driver's license revoked if they do not pay. If you owe taxes to the IRS or think you may owe taxes, call the IRS. Its number is 1-800-829-1040. A plan can be worked out to pay or settle this issue without threats of any kind being lodged. Welcome back to YCN News. I'm Rose Spillman. Now Matt McDonald will have a look at our weather for the next few days and then move on to sports.
Thanks, Rose. Tonight we're expecting mostly clear skies with lows in the 50s. Tomorrow will be sunny with a high of 82 degrees and calm winds around 5 miles per hour. Tomorrow night we'll have clear skies and a low of 53 degrees. Sunday will be sunny with highs in the 80s, and Sunday night will be partly cloudy with lows in the 50s. The map shows that we have mostly clear skies and we will see sunny and clear skies this weekend. Now let's see what's coming up on our community calendar. Tomorrow morning in Brattleboro, Vermont, the First United Methodist Church is holding a Blueberry Festival from 7 a.m. to 10:30 a.m. In Sunapee, New Hampshire, the Rock Bass Fishing Derby will begin at 11 a.m. at the harbor. On Sunday, the Fishers and Jennings Duos will perform classical piano at the St. Gaudens National Historic Site at 2 p.m. And Sunday night, the Stockwell Brothers will perform in Vermont on the Putney Tavern lawn. Remember, you can submit local events from your community by sending them to news@ycnnow.com. Let's take a special look at the Lake Sunapee cruising fleet. Here's YCN's Greg Ukrin.
The Lake Sunapee Cruising Fleet is a non-profit volunteer organization dedicated to the sport of sailboat racing and creating friendships. They've been in existence since 1984.
We organize most of the racing on the lake every Wednesday night for 14 nights during the summer, and then every other Sunday. We also have 3 end-to-end races, and we also host Sailing Day, so we're a really active group with sailing on the lake all summer.
Recently, our YCN crew put out with Debbie and Bruce Campbell, and they instructed us on some of the finer points of lake life. It was a nice night to be on this beautiful lake.
I think freshwater sailing is a little bit trickier because you've got a smaller body of water and you have to really play the wind and watch the wind on the lake, because when you're out in the ocean or out in a bay, the wind's pretty steady. But when you're out here on Lake Sunapee, depending on the direction of the wind and the mountains around the lake, one side of the lake could be better wind or the other side could be better. And I think there's a little bit more tactics racing on a small lake like this.
The series includes 2 divisions. As the boats jockey for position before the start, the object is to be as close to the starting line as possible without going over before the horn to start. Then the race is on. In Division 1, the boats have to cover a 3.35-mile course, and Division 2 sees a 2.95-mile circuit this night. Going downwind, the strategy is to go as fast as you can, then positioning your boat to pivot around the marker on the correct side, or you have to go back around. Then, tacking back upwind is where a sailor's skill really shines. Kind of where the rubber meets the road, or in this case, where the hull meets the water. I'm still not sure who has the right-of-way as they crisscross each other, but there does seem to be a protocol for tracking in and around each other. Then comes the finish, which seems to be set in place well before the finish line. Some more obvious than others, as demonstrated by Division 1's Boulder Dash, skippered by Al Peterson, coming in almost 2 minutes ahead of Vento of Terry Fletcher, followed closely by the Eclipse of Bob Henry. With the handicapping system, the order was adjusted to Vento, Eclipse, then Boulder Dash. In Division 2, it looked like the race to the finish line was going to be between Slippery with Bruce McCloy at the helm and Laura's Song guided by Peter Burrows. But some great sailing brought the Spirit, skippered by Steve Jessman, blowing by them. With the handicapping, the final order was Laura's Song, then Spirit, followed by Slippery.
You know, if people are interested in crewing or getting involved or getting their sailboat in the club, they can just go to our website, which is lscf.us, and you can get all the information on. You can become a social member. We have get-togethers every month at somebody's house on the lake as just for a potluck thing, and it's just a nice bunch of people that love to be out on the lake and love sailing, and we have a lot of fun.
What a fun night! Join one of the crews and enjoy this beautiful lake.
Sounds like an exciting event. Be sure to check out their website.